What's up guys, it's Naf here. So after finishing up at the Corporeal Beast, I did decide I wanted to camp Glacors, which are a relatively high level monster that require the completion of the Ritual of the Majorat to kill. Now, as many of you may know, this is a Grandmaster quest that has a large list of prerequisites, including While Guthic Sleeps, and many others, which of course I had not completed. So starting off, I did have to work on completing While Guthic Sleeps. Now luckily to do this, I just had to finish off the last 4 parts of the Recipe for Disaster quest chain, and also kill Bork. And with that out of the way, I was able to complete While Guthic Sleeps, which only took me around 3 hours, which I was pretty happy with considering I'm not an avid quester, and the quest itself was actually pretty decent. And with While Guthic Sleeps out of the way, I was able to focus on the Ritual of the Majorat quest, although to do this, I still had a slew of quest requirements, which in themselves had more quest requirements as well. So there wasn't much else to it. As I was 100% focused on getting this done, I simply had to grind out quest after quest, and before too long I did manage to get to the point where I could do the Ritual of the Majorat. So completing Ritual of the Majorat gave a lot of experience, which was pretty good, and also reached 80 agility. And at that point I did notice I actually had all the level requirements to complete the Light Within quest. Now, completing the Light Within quest gives access to a number of new Seren prayers and spells, which for the most part are not great, but there are a few in particular, including Crystallize, Crystal Mask, and Superheat Form, which are amazing for skilling. So I had a lot of reasoning to get this quest done, and if I put it off now, I would most likely not get around to doing it for a long time in the future. So to complete Within the Light, I did need to do the Fate of the Gods quest, which gives a ton of experience and also extra rewards which are gated behind further quest requirements. So for that reason, I did complete the Firemaker's Curse quest, which I can confidently say is most likely the worst quest I've ever had to do. Following that, I did complete Fate of the Gods, which, following the trend of all the other Majorat quests, was pretty interesting and gave great rewards. And then I was finally able to complete the Within the Light quest, which, as similar to the previous quests, gave amazing experience and also access to the new Seren spells, which will be great for when I push for 99 in a number of skills. So with that, I did attempt to claim my extra rewards from Fate of the Gods, including 200,000 Divination experience lamps, and the 6th Age Circuit Ring, which is a really good hybrid ring, surpassing my best ring in stats, which is currently the Luck of the Dwarves, meaning it would be great for fighting anything where drop chance wasn't important. And upon attempting to claim this ring, I did unfortunately realise I overlooked some of the requirements to claim this extra reward, which I had not done, being the Void Stares Back and the Chosen Commander quest. So I certainly wasn't over the moon that I had to do more questing, but considering I'd been doing quests all day for 2 days straight now, I was able to convince myself that doing a few more quests wouldn't hurt. So in total, I did only have to do another 6 quests, which did include the Void Stares Back and the Chosen Commander, with none of them being overly difficult, and with those out of the way, I was able to claim the 6th Age Circuit Ring, which does give a good plus 21 in all 3 combat styles, and also armor, which is a nice boost from the plus 17 in all combat styles given by the Luck of the Dwarves. And finally, I was done with questing and able to begin farming Glacors. So Glacors are pretty interesting, with a few mechanics that weren't too difficult to learn quickly, and 40,000 life points, so they weren't something you were just one-shotting and moving on. And on top of this, they were decent experience, giving me a whole 2 invention levels and leaving me pretty close to 116 invention by the time I was done killing them. So onto the drops. First off, like most high level monsters, these did drop a number of clue scrolls, totaling 5 hard clues and 1 elite clue, and in doing them, as usual, I didn't get anything that interesting, although I did get a top hat, which is a kind of interesting unique to have. Now looking at the Glacors unique drops, first off we have the Shards of Armadil, which although aren't rare, require 100 in total to make an Orb of Armadil, which used with a battle staff makes an Armadil battle staff. So these shards have roughly a 1 in 8 drop chance and therefore drop pretty frequently. Now the staff itself is only tier 78, so I wouldn't imagine I'll ever find a use for it over my Chaotic Staff or Wand and Orb from Hellweir, although considering it's unique and somewhat rare, it's an item I definitely wanted to have for my loot tab. And the next set of unique rares, which is the main reason I'm interested in camping Glacors, is the boot drops. These are tier 85 tank boots, so although they arguably aren't better than my current tier 70 power boots, I may find scenarios where I would prefer the damage reduction, and if I can't, I can wear them when bank standing because they do look awesome. And on top of that, these boots are required to make the best boots in the game, along with a secondary gotten from Rune Dragons, which who knows, I may find myself killing one day, so it certainly doesn't hurt to have these for that reason as well. So although it took some time, I did manage a few drops, with my first being a pair of Glaven boots, which are the ranged pair, and although I forgot to check, I did so around 2 Glacor kills later and I was at 505 kill count. Next drop, not too long after, I did manage to get the Ragefire boots, which are the magic boots, and at this point I was at 734 kill count. And considering these were at a drop rate of roughly 1 in 400, I was pretty happy with my progress so far. Next drop, my first duplicate was a second pair of Ragefire boots. So naturally, getting duplicates is never fun, although considering how good they look, maybe I'll keepsake them, and this drop did occur at 1033 kill count. And shortly after, on the next trip, I did manage another drop, which to my luck was a pair of Steadfast boots. The melee pair, which was the last unique drop I needed from Glacors, and that was at 1109 kill count. Which, although Glacors were fun to kill, I was relieved about as my prayer and super restore potion supplies were running pretty low, even resorting to using my super restore flasks, which I've been slowly accumulating through Araxi. So taking a look at the overall loot, as you can tell there isn't actually a lot of things in total, partly because a lot of the drops were things such as Armadillo shards, coins, rune items, which I was alking, or prayer and super magic potions, and also sharks, which I was using to extend trip lengths. But for that reason, they did give a decent amount of overall gold. Taking into account I wasn't alking the dragon mace drops either. The charms were decent as they dropped in quantities of 3, and most of the time they were blues or crimsons. And then there was the random loot, with the headless arrows being actually pretty useful for when I want to use my broad arrowheads, which I buy daily from Slayer Masters, unfinished adamant bolts, which will add up to some fletching experience and possibly gold if I decide to vendor them, death runes, which I only use for Viswax dailies, pure essence, which will come in handy as I do plan on doing some legitimate rune crafting when I go for 99, blue dragon hide, which like all my other dragon hide, will probably never go used unless I get extremely desperate for gold and craft them into bodies to alk. Uncut diamonds, same thing as the dragon hide really, a fair few water talismans, which will be nice for summoning, and geyser titans are useful once in a blue moon if I actually need to recharge amulets of glory. Runite ore, which is always welcome and will be getting used relatively soon when I push for higher smithing levels. A decent amount of raw sharks considering I didn't use food at Glacors, although I honestly go through thousands making some of the bossing videos, so it's nothing to get excited over. The dragon maces, which would probably out for around 800k, but as I said, I do like to hoard dragon items. I think it's mainly because they're somewhat rare and unique, since they can't be bought from vendors or farmed anywhere in particular, but realistically I will probably out them one day if I find I need a lot of gold. And lastly for the general loot we have Grimmy Harrowlander. Now, I know what you're thinking, 6 Harrowlander, I wouldn't even pick that up. Now, normally I wouldn't either, but funnily enough, these things seem to be listed as very rare, and their drop rate is comparable to the boot drops, which sounds crazy, but upon getting them, I did even get my Luck of the Dwarves shining, indicating I got rare loot. So I think it may actually be accurate information, which is kinda strange and sad, but nonetheless made me think they were worth tracking. And of course at the bottom we have the boot drops which were already seen, and also the 105 Armadillo shards, so just having enough to make a staff and a few left over that I can craft into runes. Although I don't plan on doing that until I reach 99 rune crafting, as at higher levels you do get more Armadillo runes per shard used. In saying that though, I don't think I'll ever actually use the staff or the runes, but it is really just a matter of principle. So there we go, the Staff of Armadillo, which doesn't degrade and does actually act as an air staff, meaning it supplies unlimited air runes, so that may actually be pretty useful. But regardless, that's about it for this one. I do have to look at replenishing a lot of my supplies, mainly being prayer potions or super restore potions and also overloads, so I may start working on a few 99s such as Herblore, although it's something I'll have to consider over the next day or so. And as always, I'm open to PVMing suggestions if you do have any for my Iron Man, so feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.